Friends, in this video, we're going to talk about a new bill that has been introduced on Capitol Hill that would allow USCIS to avoid the furlough. So we're going to talk about that bill, what's going on with it, and what is the likelihood of it passing, and certainly how this potential slowdown in immigration processes is going to affect so many people. So watch this video all the way until the end so that you could get all of these juicy details. Before I dive into it, as usual, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for following. Thanks for following me also on Instagram at McBean Immigration Law. But if you have not yet subscribed to this channel, guys, go ahead, do so right now. Hit the notification bell so that you'll be the first to get notice of my videos. Now, let's get into it. USCIS, as I've been talking about for weeks now, is going through a major money problem. And this money problem will inevitably affect everyone else. It will affect our clients. It will affect you if you're going through an immigration process. And it's a big mess. To put it lightly, it's a big mess. And they're seeking this $1.6 billion from Congress. It's a bailout. And those dollars, guys, are basically going to be emergency appropriations that would allow them to get through this fiscal year, which is ending in September, to get through this fiscal year and to cover part of next fiscal year as well. So it's kind of a big move because they're saying that if they don't get this $1.6 billion, they're going to initiate furlough. They're going to lay off temporarily up to 70% of their employees, or 13,400 people will be laid off. And as I mentioned in my most recent video, they're projecting that the layoffs will last between 1 month and 3 months. 30 to 90 days is what they're saying. A couple of members of Congress have gotten together and they introduced a bill that would provide the appropriations or the money that's needed to get USCIS through this tough time. I'm going to share my screen with you now and walk you through what's really going on with this and who's behind it. So first of all, I know that some of you may have already seen this article that came out called Bipartisan Bill Introduced to Fund USCIS to Avoid Furlough. And some people got excited and they were thinking, this is it. This is what what we're looking for, members of Congress to act to provide that $1.6 billion so that we could avoid this whole furlough thing and life will be good, right? But I want to also point out some things with regard to this bill, guys. And here it is. This is the actual bill that was introduced, and it's actually HR 7508. HR 7508 was introduced by Congressman Cleaver, and it basically provides, as it says right here in this first paragraph, supplemental appropriations to USCIS, that the following sums are appropriated out of the Treasury for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2020, which is this current fiscal year. And it's asking for the $1.2 billion that USCIS says that it really needs. And so this is the bill that has been introduced. And you might be saying to yourself, well, where is it in the process? And guys, I think you're going to be a little disappointed here. I actually put on my legislative analyst hat here, pulled it up, went on congress.gov, right? Went on congress.gov, pulled up the bill, HR 7508, to see what in the world is going on with it. So here's what's going on with it. Not very much. It was introduced on July 9th, 2020, and it was then referred to the Committee on Appropriations. Now let's see what actions have been taken since then. Again, it was only introduced July 9th, 2020. No real action has been taken on it. And guys, it really doesn't even have a lot of support. It's important for you guys to see this. Right now, there are only 7 members of Congress who are supporting this, and only 2 of them are Republicans. 2 out of the 7 are Republicans. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 7 members of Congress are supporting this. And that's not very encouraging. Now, let's see, it's in the committee. What else does this say? So it's in the committee, referred to the committee, and that's really it, right? Nothing else happened. I would not really put a lot of hope into this particular legislation, I would not put too much hope into this. As you guys can see, although it says, the article said, oh, bipartisan support, all you need is one other member of another party to make something bipartisan. And in this case, they only have two. We're talking about this major deadline that's coming up. We're talking about August 3rd. And as of the filming of this video, we're in mid-July and only 7 members of Congress has signed on to this so far. So there really isn't right now, as of today, a whole lot of support for this initiative. There just isn't. So the other thing that's happening that there might be a glimmer of hope here with respect to this other action that's taken place, and it's actually taken place on the Senate side. So on July 16th, a group of senators sent a letter, and this is a bipartisan or true bipartisan group of senators made up of both Democrats and Republicans, prepared a letter urging that USCIS be funded. But what they've said in this letter is there are some conditions here. And I'm going to read through some of this letter so that you guys can understand what the senators are proposing here. They say that they recently became aware that USCIS needs emergency funds in the amount of $1.2 billion in order to fully continue its operations. We are disappointed that the Trump administration has not formally requested funding to resolve these financial problems. The fiscal mismanagement of the agency will result in thousands of employees, USCIS employees, being furloughed and potentially losing their jobs and severely limiting the United States' ability to process our legal immigration system. We should provide emergency funding. But it is equally critical that we establish firm parameters and sideboards to ensure the funds are used appropriately, not used to intimidate or discourage immigration, and to encourage the agency to develop procedures that will prevent a funding shortfall in the future. And so the senators are saying here that they recognize that there's some things that are going on at USCIS that's really wrong. There's mismanagement, right? There's bad policy. There's slowdown of their operations, a lot of inefficiency. Things need to get done. Things need to be done better. And then here we go again. They say, although USCIS has been facing financial woes for over a year now, it only recently approached Congress in May with an informal notice of severe financial issues. However, there are disturbing reports that much of the current financial crisis of the organization is not solely based on the coronavirus crisis, but on mismanagement and dangerous policy choices, including unnecessary interviews, reallocation of resources to train unqualified CBP officers on asylum cases, burdensome requests for evidence and attempts to divert resources to enforcement efforts instead of focusing on their critical mission, right? And under the Trump administration, there are allegations that USCIS has become solely a vetting agency instead of an immigration benefits agency. And so the culture there is awful, right? Now, they go on to say that we must act now to protect USCIS public servants who have already begun to receive furlough notices and are facing the reality of unemployment in a time of economic insecurity. And then the senators then go on to say that USCIS provides essential services to our country, right? They do. But then they go into this issue of the backlogs of applications and some other problems there involving how they're treating DACA and TPS applications. And they say, while we can and should further debate the exact guardrails necessary to ensure USCIS responsibility in the coming days, we strongly encourage you to consider the following suggestions now. And so then they go into their list of things that they require that USCIS change, right? Require USCIS to implement measures that generate new revenue without new or increased fees on families or asylum seekers. Find another way to make money rather than increasing the fees. Secondly, ensure the availability of fee waivers. they need to put back fee waivers in place. Thirdly, prohibit USCIS from transferring funding to law enforcement agencies. And then the next bullet says, require USCIS to adopt measures to increase transparency, fiscal responsibility, efficiency, and all of those good things. And then last, require USCIS to promote remote naturalization ceremonies. And so they're saying in this conclusion that they unite, we as members of Congress unite by giving USCIS emergency funding and enacting appropriate parameters as a condition. Guys, get this part, as a condition of those funds, where? In the next coronavirus relief package. That's what they really want to do with this. They want the bailout money to be included in the next coronavirus stimulus package that I've been talking about. A lot of other people have been talking about this next stimulus package as well. So that's where they're thinking that this money should be found. And so then they end by saying how much they support the public service jobs at USCIS. And certainly they don't want millions of US citizens to be kept apart from their family. And so this is a letter that was created by members of Congress, and they are joining forces and they're collaborating to make the point clear that USCIS should get that $1.6 billion in bailout funds, but they want to connect it with all of these other conditions as well. So I don't know how they're going to make that part happen, but they're asking for all of this to be put into the next stimulus bill. So friends, just to recap, yes, there is a bill that was introduced by 2 members of Congress that only has 7 people who support it. Several members of Congress supports it. And then you have this on the Senate side, you have a larger group of members of the Senate who have come together to say, USCIS needs to get it together. Yes, we agree they need to have this bailout money, but add the bailout money to the coronavirus package that they are negotiating currently. And so guys, I'm going to keep you posted on these negotiations and these discussions on Capitol Hill. And I want you to share this information, these videos with other people, share it on WhatsApp and Facebook, just share it so that others can know what's going on as well, because the upcoming furlough is sure to impact so many people. And certainly, do we want to see a furlough happen? Absolutely not. But it's almost inevitable unless Congress acts very swiftly. Guys, thanks for watching this video. I hope you found it helpful. Comment below and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.